I'm doing a little video. Hello everybody and welcome to episode, I don't know, of This Old Knit podcast. I am your host Nina, otherwise known as Ine on Ravelry, Instagram, and Pinterest, and you can find show notes for this episode and all previous episodes on their corresponding numbered thread of the This Old Knit or Ravelry group. So for new viewers, welcome, and for returning viewers, welcome back. I am a bi-weekly-ish podcast coming to you from the lovely state of Connecticut, and I have a lot to share with you today. My husband took the kids to the lake for a little while so that I'd be able to podcast. So hopefully I'll be able to take advantage of the time and share some things with you. So first off, I actually drew winners for the Q2 of our Stash or Shelf Challenge. That is an annual challenge that I came up with last year, and it is basically that you can knit either anything that you had in your stash as of the beginning of the year, or you can knit from a pattern that you already owned or had on your shelf. Free patterns also count in that, downloads, things you borrow from the library, but basically, use your own judgment. I can't police you. I'm not going to go and check that something was in your stash or wasn't in your stash on our system here. Kudos to you if you do both, but it's a way to really help me be able to do more with the things that I already have and just be mindful when I'm going to cast something on, thinking about the stuff that I already have or the patterns that I loved before and just giving them a second look. So but it also then doesn't preclude you from being able to purchase something new or cast on something new if there's a pattern that you just have to knit. Very long-winded explanation. So I didn't close the thread, but what I do is I put in like a marker post, and then I do a search for those posts, and then I draw between my two numbers. So the first winner was Vicky, who is B Shaw 7 on Ravelry, and her post that won is post number 224, although she posted a lot of finished objects, so yay Vicky. So you win a $10 or less Ravelry downloadable pattern. So please, contact me via private message on Ravelry, and I will coordinate gifting you the pattern. And our second winner is post number 153, who is Jane BG 1923, who's Jessica. So Jessica, you win the skein of Mondim yarn that I showed before, and I of course did not bring it over here to show, but I think you've moved, so if you want to get in touch with me and give me your new address, I will get that out to you. So congratulations to both of our winners, and I will draw for quarter 3 probably in, let's see, it'll be July, August, September, so it'll probably be the beginning of October. And maybe for that prize, I think last year I did this too, that I picked up something at Rhinebeck to gift for Q3. And then I'll also probably pick up one of the grand prizes. So at the end of the challenge, I did just a random draw from the entire finished objects thread, so that everybody that participated gets a chance to win the final grand prize. So anyway, yes. So thank you everyone for participating so far. The other challenge that we have going in the group right now is the self-striping cal. So that is knitting anything that you want with self-striping yarn. Someone asked me a clarifying question on, can it be hand spun? Yes, absolutely. It can be hand spun. If your hand spun is supposed to be self-striping, wow that you can spin something that does self-striping. I am certainly not that far along in my spinning journey, sad and pathetic as it is. So yeah, absolutely, you can use your own hand-spun self-striping if you are able to produce such things. So yeah. Trying to think, do I want to jump into FOs or do I want to do some chatter stuff first? I could mention a couple of new to me podcasts because I have a couple that I've been watching for a couple of weeks now, but I keep forgetting to mention them. So I get to the end and then everything's crazy and the family's coming home. So I do want to mention them at the top just so I don't forget. So one of them is Café con Bigelnitz, and that one is in Spanish. So if you are a Spanish speaker, or even if you're just trying to learn, hey, try it out. He is podcasting from Spain, from Granada, I believe. And he's on maybe his second or third episode. But he makes a lot of beautiful shawls, sweaters. He's a very prolific knitter, and it's interesting to see the different yarns that are used in Spain and what's available. And also, I don't know knitting terms in Spanish. So when I lived in Mexico, I was not a knitter. I think I've mentioned this before because I also watched Las Nidigamillas with Hoki Locatelli and shoot, I don't remember her username. Why am I blanking on it? It's gonna come to me later. She's from Uruguay. Oh boy, Nina. I'll put it in a caption up here at the top. And I also realized from Freakish Lemon's podcast, Adrian mentioned that he has been closed captioning his podcast, and I didn't realize that if you do that, the closed captions show up on the bottom. So I've been putting things on the bottom or the top, just depending on where the color shows up better. So my apologies for if there's anyone who needs to use closed captioning and was unable to, or it made it more difficult because of my captions. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that that's where those went. So in the future, I will make sure I only put my captions for things up at the top or maybe over like here so that I won't interfere with that. I need to explore that more if I have to submit a transcript. I think that YouTube's algorithm actually does some closed captioning on its own, but it's probably just as bad as if you've ever actually watched TV with closed captioning. You'll see that like it's weird sometimes. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So I bet if you submit a transcript is probably far better than the algorithm closed captioning is. So yeah, thank you, Adrian, for pointing that out. And yeah, you should all watch the Freakish Lemon podcast too, because Adrian is awesome. I met him and Gabby maybe for the first, yeah, I met both of them for the first time at VKL. No, I had met Gabby at Indie Untangled in person last year, right before Rhinebeck. But Adrian, I met at VKL when they were walking around all together with our group because they're brother and sister, if you didn't know. And then another Spanish podcast I've been watching is podcast Desmadejada. That one's really fun as well. And she also designs things too. And Jordy Knits is another one I just started watching, but I learned about her podcast from the Solidarity Swap. She was one of the swap organizers, and she and I have been chatting some on Instagram because my package went awry, as I told you before, and I do now have my package. So yay, thank you, Darcy, for helping me out with that. And the last one I watched is a PBS podcast, and it's called It's Okay to Be Smart. And that one, actually, I learned something new. Hey, cool. About eye color and how the science on that has really changed. So I learned, as probably a lot of other people did in high school of around my same age, Mendelian biology, which is like the little squares that you have with the different combinations of different things and traits and which ones are dominant and recessive. But now, obviously, that we are in the world of genetics and there's a whole different understanding about things, there's actually a really good episode about eye color. So I will link to that in the show notes for this episode. But I found it fascinating. And hey, science, that's the great thing about it, is it's always changing. You're always learning. And if you can disprove something, then that means science and the scientific method are working. So it talks about how eye color is really the combination of a lot of different genes, and it's more about these filtering pigments that are in your eyes, and that all eye color is actually brown, but the fewer of these filtering pigments that you have, the more your eyes are actually reflecting back different wavelengths of light, which is how we perceive eye color. So those with gray or blue eyes have less of that filtering pigment in their eyes to bounce. So they only bounce back like the blue wavelengths from their eyes. So that's how we see that their eyes are a different color. It's a really cool episode. I'm not doing it justice at all, so please go and watch it. They're very quick. I watched a ton of them. I kind of binge watched a lot of them. There's a really cool one about aging, and it goes into like telomeres on the ends of your chromosomes and different ways that aging happens for different people. So those are my podcast recommendations. Go check them out. So let's jump into knitting before I get too crazy as I throw things on the ground. So I have a finished object. Yay! I finished my Tanya sweater. So the other skein of yarn came. I can't remember if I had it last time or not. I don't know. But I don't think I did. So I essentially wound up the yarn I had left from the body into 2 mini skeins. So I was right last time. I remember I said I had about 20 grams. I had 17 grams left. So I split it roughly in half. And then I alternated those mini skeins with the skein that I received. So you can clearly see that they are a different color. It was more brown than this. This is more lavender, but that's fine. So I just alternated skeins all the way through. And then when I got to almost running out of the mini skein, I bound off. So I got a reasonable length of sleeve out of it. I only ever wanted it to be like a short sleeve tee. So it comes down to about here. I'll probably wear it next time, but I have not woven in the ends under the arms right now. So I didn't want to wear it and potentially do anything weird to the underarm. All the rest of my ends are woven in at this point. So all of the body ends are woven in, and all of the ends on the ribbing and the ends down in the lace. So I had the cast on ends. I had the one where I joined to start alternating skeins for the main body. And then I alternated skeins with the extra one I got for the neck as well. So those are woven in. Things I would probably do differently for next time, and I might well knit another one of these. I really do like it. I probably would knit a larger armhole size. So this is something I've noticed about a lot of Caitlin Hunter patterns. She must have really, really small arms because, or maybe I have big arms. I don't know. Essentially, all of them are very tight. And the thing she points out about how to choose the sizing is by the circumference of the armhole, which doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't. I choose mine by the bust because I need to fit that part of my body, and usually my arms are not the limiting factor. But on hers, I've had a couple that now are armhole problems. Luckily, I did add some extra length to it because I felt like it wasn't going to be long enough for this portion. I was more worried about the bust part of it. So I added probably an inch or an inch and a half on this side and about an inch on the back. So without even knowing it, I ended up with enough length to pick up the stitches as though I had knit 2 sizes larger on the armholes. And I blocked the heck out of this thing. Like, I really stretched it to get them long. So I got them to about 7 inches on either side. But my size that I knit called for like a 10-inch circumference on the arm. No. So I would even maybe go up another size. And now that I understand what's happening, I feel confident that I could do that. I also feel like because I didn't do that, the neckline is a little bit tight, but it's big. So it's really big. So I'm going to have to wear this with a tank under it because otherwise my bra straps will show. And sorry, I don't not wear a bra out in public because I need the support. So yeah, this is going to be one where like my tank top straps will show a little bit, which is okay. I think it'll be fine with a black tank top underneath. But were I to do it again, I might actually go inward such that I would get a more closed in neck on the front, which I think I could do by making this portion longer but not decreasing this part. Yeah, so I'll have to play around with it. I almost wanted another one just because I want to play around with it and see how it works. But otherwise, I do like the effect of it. It's a very pretty, simple tee for summer. And I think it'll look really pretty over a skirt or over a pair of shorts or pants equally. You could dress it up or down, as they say. So I'm excited to wear it. So hopefully I'll get those ends woven in underneath the arms today and maybe be able to wear it to work for tomorrow. So that is the Tanya sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and it is knit out of Volan Vine yarns in the Strassa base, and on the sleeves it was the Volca base that I mixed in the Jilted Rose colorway. If you like it, good luck finding it. It's not a colorway that she dyes, and very few people have it in their stash. Okay. So that is all I have for finished objects. And then the majority of my knitting time has been going to this guy, which I'm hoping might be one of my Rhinebeck sweaters, but we'll honestly have to see how warm it is. Last year it was actually pretty cool, so I was able to wear a long sleeve sweater for Rhinebeck, and I had a shawl on, and I was very comfortable with that. So I think this will be fine. So this is another Caitlin Hunter pattern. This one is the Syphilis Sweater. It came out, I think, last year sometime. I'm knitting it out of Volan Vine Yarns Volca in the Lady of the Lake colorway. And then this other one is the Yarn at Home Mom, and it's an unnamed turquoise colorway or teal colorway. and it's on her glimmer base, so it's sparkly. So I have completely finished the body on this. I bound that off Friday, I think. Yeah, Friday. And then I started the sleeve. I did the sleeve slightly differently. Again, she only called for picking up 4 stitches, but I would have had huge holes. So I think I picked up 8 stitches, and I actually then even picked up a 9th stitch on one side and just immediately, knit it together on my first round. And so then I decreased slowly. So it only calls for doing like two sets of decreases and then doing the arm straight. But I did 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm actually 2 stitches off still from the final stitch count that I'm supposed to have. But I'm going to knit this until I get to the bottom of my bicep area, and then I'll decrease those last 2 stitches, and then the color work part begins here. If you're going to do long sleeves, you do like some dots for this portion, and then the cuff has kind of a repeat of this kind of color work here. So I think that will help it fit me better and adapt it to my arm. But it basically tells you to knit straight for 6 inches or so. So it's fine. I'm just adding some decreases into it. So I will write that into the notes, into my pattern notes. So if you want to knit this sweater and you want to do something similar, it was pretty straightforward to add these. And I also added in waist shaping on this sweater because I didn't want it to be super baggy. So again, she calls for like 10 to 12 inches of positive ease. I don't really like that. So it has maybe 1 inch of positive ease on it. And then I did some waist shaping as well. So it was very slight waist shaping. I think I did every 7 rounds. And I did 3 sets of decreases, 2 inches plain, 3 sets of increases, and then down to the ribbing. So yeah, I really like it. It fits me very, very well. I tried it on and posted a picture on Instagram with athletic shorts because that's what everybody's doing. Colorwork sweaters and athletic shorts. Yeah. It was not the best look, but whatever. I couldn't be bothered to change into other clothing just when I'm trying something on to make sure it fits. So the color work is a little bit puckery. Knitting with superwash is a little challenging, but I think it's fine from back here, and I can totally block it out, just dry blocking. So I think once I wet block it, when I'm done, it's gonna look great. So I'm very excited about that. The sleeve is going quite quickly. And since it only has color work on the tail end of it, I think it's gonna be just super fast. I've knit through 1 entire skein of the teal. I have kind of 1.5 skeins left of it that I'm alternating, so I will have plenty of yarn for it. And then I worked on my blanket quite a bit, my northeasterly blanket, which is a pattern by Skinanigans, Melissa Alexander Loomis. And I'm using my, what are these, Knit Pro needles, wood needles that I bought from Handsome Fibers. If you want to buy needles, they're a great place to buy them because they don't charge you shipping for the US, no matter how small your order is. So often I notice that like buying needles, if you don't buy them with something else, they can be quite pricey because the needles themselves aren't very expensive, but you've got a pretty big shipping charge. So anyway. So I bound off my blanket on one end. So this is the full length of my king size bed width. But I guess it's length as well because a king size bed is a square. It's the same length as it is width. So this has enough width that it can lay, like I had my husband and I lay in the bed under the covers, and then I had us drape it because, you know, when you have a blanket, like the shape of people displaces it enough that then it can sometimes pull up above the edges, and I like to have it hanging off the edge. You don't want drafts when you're sleeping. So this is perfect. It gives us, I think, like that much on each side hanging off. So now that I have the one anchor row, I know how long I need to knit my others, and that is very motivating. So I have knit my green one most of the way there. So I probably have like 4 more minis worth to do. Currently, I'm knitting the rest of my Nomi of the Lake from one of my first shawls I ever knit. So this is No Makers. And I just had a teeny little nugget, but I wanted to make sure I put it into my blanket. So I've used every little scrap of it up. And that was one of my favorite colors that Amanda ever dyed. It was just so pretty. I love it. See, it's got all these nice teals and spring greens, some white, some deeper teal. It's just so pretty. So anyway, I finished blue, worked a little bit on the green. I finished this mini skein of Doom that felt like I was knitting on it forever. I'm knitting on this one, which is the yellow stripe. So this is Gringotts from Adelaide Cottage. And I think I'm about halfway through this. So her mini skein bundles are 20 gram mini skeins. They're like this. So they're quite large mini skeins. Most of my mini skeins when I was trading them are 10 grams. So 20 grams is like twice that. So what I've been doing is knitting half of each of those. So this is another one. This one is like, what is that? Potions or something like that. And then that one's Hogwarts. So I've been knitting half of the mini skein, and then I'll pull the other half in to another stripe in the blanket. And I think that'll help it also be a little bit more cohesive. And then I started my orange stripe. So I've only knit one mini on that so far, but it's all the way knit through. So this was also a No Makers mini skein, and this one is her pumpkin spice colorway, which is on her Scruffy Gnome base. So it's a tweed base, and I have a full skein of this as well, but I got the pumpkin spice one in like a beverages mini. There was a coffee mini skein bundle that I purchased. I still regret not getting Aztec Mocha, but she was always out of it when I went to go and buy it, and then she stopped dyeing yarn. But it's one of the few tweedy colorways that I was not able to snag that I really wanted, but it was really pretty. I do have a mini of it though, and it will go into my blanket. So pumpkin spice is done, and I have my next one wrapped up, wound up. It's this one. I don't know what it is. I think this came from my friend Andrea. So she sent me a bunch of sparkle mini skeins for my Gibbum, my glittery blanket of unicorns and magic. However, I've noticed that very bright ones don't really go well with the aesthetic I'm going for on the Gibbum. So I've repurposed those, and they're all going to go into this blanket. So this one is from Andrea, and it really reminds me of Gigi, because Gigi made it. Her signature color is orange, but yeah, that one's really nice. So that'll be the next one, and I think it looks really good next to the pumpkin spice. And it's good next to this mustardy color too. So it's mostly going to be next to the mustard color, and it'll probably go a little bit into this giraffe one from Jessica. So yeah, that should be fun. I'm enjoying knitting on it again at night, and I don't know what I'm going to do next. Maybe this one, because this one's pretty crazy, but I think it'll be really good next to the yellow. And then red would be on the other side, so I think it would, you know, bridge across really nicely. So this one's got some pinks, oranges, and yellows. It's a really cool color. So anyway, that's what's going on with my northeasterly blanket. Did I say it was northeasterly? I just said it was a pattern by Melissa Shenanigans. Anyway, northeasterly. And then my last thing that I have worked on is, take a drink. My Yellow So Faded. So this is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. I've knit. This will be my third one. But it is a great vanilla sweater pattern. So this is Life in the Long Grass in the cushion colorway. I haven't got a lot more done on it. But this is one of my first ever stitch markers, like that I ever bought from Etsy. Was in a little set called Red Whimsy. So I have this gnome or elf and a bunch of the little like red mushrooms with the white dots that I think of as being like Mario Brothers type mushrooms. So it's a really cute set, but I just have the main one on there that I'm using for my beginning of round marker. I think I'm pretty close to sleeve separation. I maybe have 5-ish more rows. And then I will start fading in the next color, which will be Beauxbatons from Bad Wolf Girl Studios. Who's Meg? And it's kind of getting a little messy here. Let me police this cake a little bit here. Get it back in order. Okay. So cute. Still really loving this project. Still really excited about it. It is so nice. And I think I never linked to where this pouch came from, but it's Frabju Fibers. And my mom bought it for me when she was visiting last time. So thank you, Mom. I need to ask the people for the next. It's a swap though. They're not doing a cow. I'll have to ask if they need prize donations if they're doing another make along, and I could participate in this one. The last one I couldn't because my baggage went astray, but this one I could. So I don't think I'll have this podcast up in time, but there is a second round of the solidarity swap going on, and this time it's just going to be a pattern on Ravelry. So I have a little bundle, but I'm excited to learn about more BIPOC makers. So I've already added some more things to my queue, and it's so cool to be discovering new designers, and I definitely want to start knitting more with them. So I think that is everything I have for knitting. So acquisitions, I have a few. So my Once Upon a Corgi yarn came. I had ordered it last time, but it had not arrived. So when I went to the show, the Connecticut Sheep and Wool Festival, Gabby had 2 of these skeins left in her booth, but I needed at least 3 to make a sweater. So she was asking on Instagram, I believe, for what colorways to dye that she hadn't for a while and suggestions. So I said, warm and cozy in sweater quantities on ginger, please. And she totally did. So I felt like, well, now I have to buy it. But I think I might make the Waning Leaves sweater with this. But I'm not completely like stuck on that idea or anything. So I also think it would make a really nice cardigan if I could get my shit together and actually knit a cardigan, because I keep saying I need to knit cardigans and then I don't do it. And my friend Disa from Disa's Craftworks keeps going, hey, you keep saying you want to knit a cardigan and then you knit a pullover. Yeah, truth. The real friends tell you the truth. And they tell you when you're saying one thing and doing another. So thank you, Disa. Anyway, so these are warm and cozy on her ginger base. That is a 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% gold stellina. However, because of the colorway, the stellina actually ends up looking bronze rather than gold, which is really cool. Or coppery. Oh yeah, you can totally see it. See the little sparkles there? It has this beautiful depth to it. And I have some of her Marie Cutie on, or sorry, her Warm and Cozy on Marie Cutie, which is the Corriedale Superwash Corriedale sock yarn. But I think I'm going to keep that as socks for Josh. And when I saw this on the stellina base, it's a completely different animal. It just is so much deeper and richer of a color. I can't even. I love it so much. So yeah, I think it would just be a really great cardigan. It would match everything. Yeah, I probably need to make it be a cardigan. Anyway, so thank you, Gabby. Gabby Gales, Once Upon a Corgi. Your yarn is amazing. Thank you. And then Marian, I won't say her Instagram handle in case if she doesn't want me to share that, but she is the one who sent me the rest of the yarn I needed to make the Tanya. So I now have most of a skein of Jilted Rose. I'm going to take, I think, that one, the Misfit Jilted Rose that I got in the box, and the Primrose Yarn Company that I got, and make some kind of like mauvey fade, because they all are very similar and they're all semi-solid. So I think they would work really well fading together. Like what I've learned is I do not and speckles in fades, but I think if I stuck with one or the other, that would be fine. So anyway, she included a skein of yarn in the package that she said reminded her of Megwin, and it is called Yellow Dresses, and it's Maker's Haven, which I don't have any Maker's Haven yarn in my stash, so that's cool. I get to try a new dyer, and it's yellow. It's really pretty. So it's yellow, and then it has these burgundy splooches in it. It's really cool. I can't envision how it's going to knit up, but I'm excited to try it. So it's an 80-20 merino nylon blend, 400 yards. So thank you, Marian. You're a lifesaver. You made my Tanya possible, and you sent me yellow yarn. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then, as I mentioned, my package from the first Solidarity swap came, and Darcy was my partner, and she included this gigantic, like this big of a bag full of Chinese candy, because she lives in China, and so the kids have been having fun with trying all the different flavors. I've had a couple. I think I had the milk toffee. It was like milk toffee with mint. It was very strange. But I think it was more strange because I had never really tasted anything like that before, so my mouth was like not ready for it. It was trying to go, what am I tasting here? Is this fruit? Is this mint? What is this? So I've had that one. I've had kind of a citrusy one, a toasted coconut one, and then there's like a peanut butter roll one. So they're all really good. And then she so sweetly included 2 skeins of yarn, because she felt really awful that my package got lost. And she did not have to do that, but I really, really appreciate it, and I love them both. So this one is a hand dyer from Indonesia, Papi Put. And this one is Piscok is the name of the colorway, I think. Piscok. And it is 75% merino, 25% nylon. And it's really cool. I'm getting quite a lot of yellow yarn, guys. I didn't have very much at all in my stash, and now I really do. So it has it goes from like a really buttery yellow to a very bright yellow. It's got some greens and brown speckles. It's really cool. So that's the first one. And then the second one is Parkour Kitties yarn, which I love the name. We're constantly saying that Joshua should learn parkour because he's fearless about climbing things, and he uses like the walls to use his back and his feet to get himself. He's like crazy. He's like a little animal, like a squirrel that skitters up trees and stuff. So anyway, Parkour Kitties yarn. It's hand dyed in Singapore, and the colorway is Yellow Orchid. So perfect. I actually have some yellow orchids that just dropped their last blooms, so we're done for this year. One of them, I'm a little bit afraid I might lose it. Is it the yellow ones, or is it? It's the little one. Maybe that one was pink. There was a mini Phalaenopsis that I got, and it was not in good shape. Like, its root system is pretty bad. It has like one viable root, so we'll see. It's hit or miss whether or not it's going to survive. And I've sort of been keeping it quarantined, so I did trim its roots, but I sterilized the scissors between doing stuff with other orchids. So we'll see what happens, but it's not in a good place. So anyway, Yellow Orchid is the name of the colorway. This is an 80-10-10 MCN, and if you want to get some of your own yarn by Parkour Kitties, it is parkourkitties.etsy.com is the shop. It's probably going to show up backwards because I haven't figured out how to flip the text. But look at the label. There's little kitties doing parkour. So these are both new to me dyers. I'm really excited about them. This is super bright, beautiful golden yellow with golden orangey yellow in there. Ugh, so pretty. So nice. And these three kind of go together. Anyway. Bright yellow fade. So that is all I have for knitting content. Sewing content, I do not have any this week. I have a pair of Lander shorts cut out. I need to sew them. I am looking at them right down there. All the pieces are still pinned to their corresponding stuff. So I took my pattern pieces that I drafted and I actually went a size down on the waistband and on the actual waist on the shorts. So I can stand up. I'm wearing them now. So these are them, and you can see they're even still like really big. And I cut off so they still have the provisional seams, so I might even snug them in a little bit more, but I took in pretty much like an inch. I also might need to take off the buttons and re-sew them further over because I don't think I sewed them on very well, because this should actually be flush with the fly part, and it's not. So I think I need to move the buttons over, but yeah, this waistband needs to come in even more. I do really love the pockets though, and yeah. So I'm going to make another pair of these in the khaki fabric that I have. Yeah, I definitely need to move those buttons over. That might fix my problem. I should do that first. Anyway, Lander shorts by True Bias. So I will start sewing those probably next weekend. We were supposed to go camping, but it's going to thunderstorm all week. So no, I'm not going to be trapped in a tent with my children for 2 days. And I also have Megwin's seersucker dress that I cut out, but I did not have, again, bias tape for under the arms. So I went to Affordable Fabrics, which is in Rocky Hill. If you live anywhere in the New England area, I would highly recommend it. It is worth the road trip. $2.99 a yard for all of the fabric. You know, it's hit or miss for what you're going to get. Like, they don't have a website. They just have a website saying that they're there and explaining it. But, like, I got needles for my machine for $2.99, a pack of needles. The bias tape, I think, was $1.99. So very affordable notions. The buttons are relatively inexpensive, considering buttons are usually quite expensive. And they have just great basic fabrics. So yeah, highly recommend it. But I did run out there and get some jersey needles because I didn't have any more of those for my machine. And I have a bunch of like t-shirt or knit type projects on my horizon. I need to make some shirts for my husband. I have the pattern from, it's like Oliver and S, but it's the grown up part of their operation. I don't remember. Sorry. Liesel & Co., I think. But anyway, I have the family pack of t-shirts. So it has children's and men's and women's cuts of t-shirts. So you can mix and match as you would like. Some women actually prefer the men's cut of t-shirt. You know, it just doesn't have shaping. That's the main difference. And like the sleeves are a little bit different. So I think the sleeves are a little more like this, and it also has a crew neck or a V-neck option. But I need to sew a couple of t-shirts for my husband because some of his are getting pretty raggedy. Yeah, so I needed jersey needles for that. And I want to sew a couple of like jersey pullover dresses for Megwin to get ready for school because, believe it or not, it's only a month and a half until school starts again. So I need to get on the fall wardrobe for her and for Joshua because he needs pants badly. So I'm going to get on that. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on with that. I don't remember if there's anything else that's been happening with us. No, not really. Nothing very interesting. So I did want to take some time to address something that has been going on in the knitting community. And for those who are not on Instagram, you may or may not be aware of it, but there was a post that was done maybe a week ago or so on Sockmatician's Instagram. And several people took screenshots of it because it has since been, I think it was edited and then it was completely removed. And I honestly didn't know how to react to it at first. One, I didn't even realize I was following Sockmatician, which that's on me. Like, I just trying to mindlessly scroll less, right? So I want to be more thoughtful about who I'm following and one, be more selective, two, actually go in and react when things occur and remove myself from following people. So yeah, but essentially it was basically a call for, hey, we need to all be nice. We need to get along, and people who are talking about the issues of racism in a certain way need to be careful how they say things so that they don't alienate people. Yeah, so my first reaction was, ew, that doesn't sound very good. And I did not really know the words of tone policing, but that's what it was. So now I do know the proper term for that, and it's tone policing. So it's basically taking the experiences of people and saying, I will only listen to it if... insert anything here, because yeah, people's experiences are their experiences. And I think I read a meme somewhere on someone's profile, and I don't remember whose it is because I follow several different people who reacted to this, but one of them was saying, if you shut somebody's hand in a door, you would not expect them to have a calm, measured tone and be careful with their words. Like, of course, they would say, that hurt, because you're hurting them. So how could you expect talking about something that is a real, tangible, in some cases, life-threatening issue for people and not expect them to react in a visceral way and to share experiences that are unpleasant? They are not pleasant. We can't do that. So from there, it sort of spiraled downward with just various people piling on. His husband jumped in at one point, and just some of the reactions, people were trying to point out, hey, this doesn't sound really great. Do you understand what you're saying here? Do you understand that this is coded language, that there are connotations along with saying things in this certain way that you need to be mindful and aware of? And some of his responses were, I don't care about that. I'm not interested in that. So incredibly dismissive of people who are just trying to take the time to educate and to point things out, which was then interpreted as bullying, ganging up on him, ganging up on his husband. And going back and reading through things, I think that you had to go in with kind of that chip on your shoulder to see it that way. Pointing out that someone is wrong and asking them to be better is not bullying. It's what we should do for each other as human beings, because we all fuck up. We make mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes. And I say this to my kids all the time, and especially to my daughter now that she's starting to get to the age where we can start to talk to her about some of these things. And just more in general, just going out and interacting with people, that like, you need to just sincerely say, hey, I'm sorry, I messed up. I'm going to try to do better, and then try to do better. So I feel like there were a lot of opportunities for that to happen, and those were roads not taken, and we're in a really not good place right now. So somebody at a recent fiber festival went to ask him about all of this stuff that was happening, and he actually physically went after them, and apparently the people at, I think, Yarning him or something like that, restrained him, and he was asked to leave. But when something crosses the line to actual physical violence, that is a no-no, bad zone, just bad. Like, nobody on the other side of that was ever violent in that way or called for anything, but it's just not reflecting well on him or on his husband, who has been advocating for people to go after people and hold them accountable, and like find their YouTube channels and expose them, and it's just not okay. So that's my thoughts on that. I am being more careful about who I follow, and where I can, I'm trying to put links in my stories of where people might be able to go. However, I am also, because of Little Skane Ann, being thoughtful about not wanting to always link people to people on Instagram who are people of color, because they're potential targets as well. So I don't want to inadvertently send people to already vulnerable people in the community and make the problem worse. So if I'm not linking to someone who is very thoughtfully speaking and advancing the conversation, who is a person of color, that is the reason. If that is a wrong idea, please feel free to let me know. But I don't want to take that liberty without people's permission to do so. So where people have said, feel free to repost on your grid or in your stories, I'm going ahead and doing that. But if someone is not saying that, then I don't want to take that liberty and just repost. So that is that. I think that's pretty much all I have for this week. Yep. So if you want a prize, get in contact with me and I will get it out to you either electronically or in the mail. And for everybody else, happy knitting. I hope you get to take the next 2 weeks to enjoy doing the things that you love, spending time with family or friends, whatever makes you happy. So until next time, enjoy and take care. Bye-bye. Our campsite. No. Oh boy. You need a little rock or something, Megs.
And they're here. We got one more. We need. Cindy, we got one more.
Oh my god, you guys. This is insane. You okay in there?
Yeah.